भूतं यथा निद्रया यस्साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयम् तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्रचित्रीकृतम् मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यभिमः योगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहैः ॐ शान्तिः 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 सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै. Verse number 18 in chapter 6. Yada viniyatam chittam atmanyevavatiष्ठते निस्पृहः सर्वकामेभ्यः युक्त इत्युच्यते tada. So this is the 6th chapter which talks about a dhyanam, atma dhyan, Vedantic meditation, Nidhyasana. And well, because Dhyanam could be on a Ishvara, Saguna Brahma, and Dhyanam can be on Nirguna Brahma, that is Atma. And so Dhyana Yoga, of course, but then here it is Nidhyasana only. Why? Because Bhagavan has already taught that Atma is Brahman in chapter 2nd and 4th and 5th and everywhere. And therefore, once you gain a knowledge, you should have a clarity that I alone is Brahman. Nothing. There is no Brahman other than I. There is no I other than Brahman, etc. Therefore, one requires definitely a certain, a effort, at least to gain an abidance in this self. And therefore, well, so Nidhyasanam is a sadhanam for that. Nidhyasanam is the one which gives you the fruits of the knowledge which you already have. Yeah. So knowledge is there, but after having knowledge, after analyzing Mahavakya for a number of years with the help of a teacher, still one takes oneself to be just an individual, Jiva. Therefore, there is no freedom. If you take yourself as a limited being, there is a question of having a freedom. Where the limitation is, there the bondage is. And therefore, ultimately, if you want a benefit of knowledge, well, one should definitely do an Nidhyasana, which we are talking right now. And so Bhagavan is, in chapter 6, he talks about, and there are two types of Nidhyasana, by the way. I think I talked before also. And one is a Brahma Abhyasa. And other is a Samadhi Abhyasa. Abhyasa means an exercise. Repeating again and again. So dwelling upon the teaching, I mean, again and again, that's exercise. While to gain a clarity and to have a nishtha, to have abidance in this knowledge. So that is Brahma Abhyasa. Tat Chintanam, Tat Kathanam, Anyonyam, Tat Prabodhanam. Etadeka paratuncha brahmabhyasam vidurbudaha. In Yoga Vasishtha, well, Vasishtha Rishi talks about this. So, tat kathanam, tat chintanam. Well, so, teach someone, share this knowledge with someone, write the notes, listen again and again, read the books, etc. So, sharing, group discussion, teaching, reading, writing, all this means that's for what? It is only for one purpose, that your mind should be soaked into this teaching. When the mind is soaked into the teaching, then well, one will gain a nishtha. And therefore, ultimately, it is all for that. That's a brahmabhyasa. So you stay with the teaching all the time and in various forms, reading, writing, etc. There is another type of nidhyasana, and that is you sit in a meditation. You are doing an atma dhyanam with a tradition, with traditional form. So you select a place and you select a time and you select a proper seat for sitting, and then and a condition of your body, condition of the senses, condition of the mind, condition of the intellect. And this is a samadhi abhyasa. Means you sit in a traditional form of meditation in certain posture, etc. All this, and I'll dwell upon the teaching. We are doing. We are going to see how to do atma dhyana. So there are two types of nidhyasana, basically. Chapter 6 talks about the second type of nidhyasana, samadhi abhyasa, where Bhagavan talks about where to sit and how to sit and everything he talks about. Shuchau deshe pratisthapya sthiramasana atmanah natyuchitram natinicham chailajina kushottaram. So, well, you select a seat and and with the first is that charma, etc. I mean, the skin of a deer, and then this, and then this, and then, well, samam kaya shirogrivam dharayana chalam sthirah samprekshan asikagram swam dishascha anavalokayan. So, well, sit erect. This is all traditional form of meditation. This is brahmabhyasa is a different type. Well, tat chintanam, tat kathanam, you read, write. So while reading, one can just lie down in the chair or in a sofa, etc., and can read. That's a nidhyasana. So there are two types. Anyway, so but chapter 6 talks about this samadhi abhyasa nidhyasana. And word samadhi means definitely it has some connection with the yoga. Of course, we have our own interpretation, but it is there. Anyway, so after discussing this general and specific preparations to be taken care of by the meditator, Bhagavan now talks about, from verse number 18, the actual process of meditation. Before that, well, he talked about what are the general preparation a meditator should have in order to have a successful meditation. Karma Yoga is a very important discipline for successful meditation, because Karma Yoga removes enemies from your mind, which those enemies which were not allowing you to meditate on the self. Those they have been taken care of by Karma Yoga. That is Ragadvesha. Ragadvesha is a thing which does not allow your mind to be with yourself. They take away your mind to various objects. So, well, Karma Yoga is a general preparation for meditator. That, and then other thing is self-confidence. That's Bhagavan has already talked about. So the third is a self-control. And then, well, the fourth is a moderation in everything. He said that in verse number 5 or 6, Uddharet atmana atmanam na atmanam avasadayet, etc., etc. Anyway, so this is a general preparation. Karma Yoga, self-confidence, self-control, moderation in everything in your life, in order to make your meditation, nidhyasana, successful. And this general preparation, Bhagavan talked in from verse number 1 to verse number 9, and also verse 16 and 17. Then he talked about a certain specific preparation for nidhyasana. and between verse number 10 to 15. What are these specific preparation for Nidhyasana? Well, there are eightfold factors in that. One is this place of meditation that Bhagavan talked about. Then time for meditation. Third is a proper sit for sitting in meditation. Fourth is a condition of the body. Fifth is a condition of the sense organs, etc. Dishascha anavalokayan. Don't look here and there, etc., etc. Sampreksha nasika agramso. Just, both the eyes should see the tip of the nose, etc. Means sense organ also should have that kind of a control. Means condition of the sense organs have been also talked about. Then condition of the breathing, Bhagavan has talked about. Prana pano samo krutva nasabhyantara charino, etc., etc. Make even your inhalation, exhalation, etc. Because it has a direct connection to the mind. If you want a immediate relaxation of your mind, just watch your breathing. That's the best exercise. If you want a immediate relaxation of your mind because of certain, a disturbance in emotion, just observe your breathing. That's it. Inhalation and exhalation. Just observe. Not do pranayama. We call it prana vikshanam. Observing, not controlling. 1:3:4 and all this. No, anuloma, viloma, and nothing. Just observe your inhalation, then the prana which goes inside and apana which comes out, etc. Apana which goes inside and prana which comes out, etc. Just observe. Anyway, so condition of the breathing also Bhagavan talked about, which is just before meditation. Specific preparation for meditation means just before you start meditation, these are the things to be taken care of. Eightfold factors. So, well, it has gone from Sahadev. It has gone. Are you able to listen? But a picture has gone anyway.
Yes, Swamiji. Yeah. I can hear you.
Well, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I can hear.
We see you. Yeah.
Anyway, so these are the things we should take care of. So specific preparation, general preparation to be taken care of by meditator. And now actual process of meditation starts from verse number 18. 18 and 19, he will talk about how to do Atma Dhyana. And well, it consists of 3 stages. The process of meditation involves 3 stages. And as I told you, it is almost connected to yoga. So we will talk in those terms. Dharana, Dhyan, and Samadhi. In Ashtanga Yoga, you know very well. Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyan, and Samadhi. So the actual process of meditation involves 3 things. First is a dharana or dharanam. Second is a dhyanam. And third is a samadhi. Dharanam means what? Focusing. Focusing the mind upon what? Upon the object of meditation. So I'm talking in general. Later, well, object of meditation will be the self. That we will see later. But dharanam means a focusing the mind upon the object of meditation. Well, and this focusing the mind on object of meditation means what? Well, it is nothing but entertaining a thought, dealing with the object. That's it. So when I focus the mind upon an object, well, focusing happens only in the form of relevant thought modification. Mind modifies into that, into that particular thought pertaining to the object. That's called focusing, dharana. And so there is no other focusing of the mind other than entertaining that thought. Like focusing of tree means what? There is a thought for which tree is an object. That's it. In Sanskrit, we call it as a, tree thought. So we call vrukshakara vritti. So vriksha means a tree. Akara means that form of that thought. Vritti means a thought. So it's a thought modification because mind, why were you saying modification? Because mind modifies. Mind is very subtle. It can take a shape of any object. And therefore, here basically this is a vrikshakara vritti, means a thought modification pertaining to the tree. So when I entertain vrikshakara vritti, my mind is, I can say my mind is focused on tree. So ghatakara vritti means focusing on the pot. Ishvarakara vritti means focusing on Ishvara, particular form. And Atmakara vritti, we call Akhandakara vritti, means focusing on Atma. Why it is called Akhandakara, I will talk to you later. So wherever I want to focus, basically the relevant Akara vritti will be there. So Tattat Akara vritti, Tattat Vishaya Dharanam. So focusing on that particular object of meditation with the help of a relevant thought is called Dharana. And thereafterwards, we try to retain that flow of the same thought. Because vrikshakara vritti, it can stand for a moment. Any vritti is a kshanikam, momentary. And therefore, it has a momentary life. And therefore, no thought basically can continuously exist. One thought continuously exist, it won't happen. Because it has a momentary existence. And therefore, the second step appears. Dharana means you have a relevant thought pertaining to the object of meditation, but that will go. It's a momentary. Then, well, you want to meditate upon. Then the second step comes called Dhyanam, and in which, well, you try to retain the similar thought, not the same thought. It is going to die. You try to retain the similar thought. Similar thought means the thought which has a same object of meditation. Don't say I will have a same thought. No, similar thought. Similar thought with the same object of meditation. So that is called Dhyan. And that is what we give a definition also. Meditation, Dhyanam definition also we give like that. Sajatiya vritti pravaha. So Sajatiya vritti pravaha means the flow of a similar thought, each thought dealing with the same object. And this attempt is called Dhyanam. Focusing means basically to have entertain a thought dealing with the object of meditation, and Dhyanam means retaining that similar thought with the same object of meditation. So as a result of this attempt, then, well, which definitely involves effort, which involves a certain initiative on your part, which involves a will, which involves deliberation. Well, if a person follows that, then after some time, naturally mind gets into that groove of a similar thinking, sheerly by habit. Mind has that nature. So, which you can experience when you suppose if you go to some Akhandanama Sankirtanam. So, just a minute, because I am not able to see myself here. Okay. So, Sajati, this experience you have already. So, Akhandanama Sankirtanam, especially in India, some places they have a Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. And then they keep on doing this dhun, with different tunes, varieties of the tunes. And you suppose you have attended that function. You have also chanted that for 1 hour. And then when you come home, then your mind, basically you are coming home, and so you are looking at the traffic to reach safely to home. But your mind keeps doing that. In fact, at a verbal level also it starts. Like that it starts. So that shows. So if you try to retain, if you entertain a particular thought dealing with the object of meditation, and then you try to retain the similar thought for some time with your effort, then by sheer habit, mind will automatically have it. It is going towards samadhi. We feel samadhi is something very, 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 it's the highest state. Nothing is highest. It's all mind only. Mind has the capacity. We'll be talking that. Anyway, so basically, so mind keeps repeating. Suppose this Hare Rama mantra or even Om Namah Shivaya mantra. Like now Shivratri is coming. People chant Om Namah Shivaya for the whole day. And then for several days, it keeps coming all that without your deliberation. That's what my point is. To retain, there was a lot of effort, deliberation. But if you retain successfully for some time, now you, without your deliberation, without your will, mind still keeps on repeating it. So mind gets into that groove, and that thought pattern is registered in the subconscious mind, basically. And that deliberately entertained thought gets deeply registered into subconscious mind. And that is why after this Akhandanama, well, when, as I said, even if you do varieties of the activities, in the background, this Hare Rama or Om Namah Shiva keeps on ringing. And well, in fact, this happens even if a particular advertisement, etc. Song is repeatedly played in TV programs, etc. Well, then there also you will find that even if you don't like initially the tune of the music in that advertisement, but if when it repeatedly falls into your ears, you will find unknowingly that you will be singing that blessed song, even song of an advertisement. Even I have sung, then somebody was watching at me. He said, Swamiji is singing that advertisement song. But because I repeatedly listened to that. So basically this happens. Because otherwise, if I am a conscious and deliberate, then me as a Swami, I can't sing that song. But I'm not deliberate. My will is not involved, yet the mind keeps repeating it. So, because the mind has the capacity to form samskaras, vasanas from the experiences, impressions. And by the strength of that vasana, samskara, well, that particular thought continues. And we give an example of, our acharyas only give this example of, it's like for, paddling the cycle for some time. Effort is involved, will is involved. And thereafter, even if you don't cycle, just because of the momentum of this initial effort, well, the cycle continues to run for some time. So same thing happens for this thought cycle also. So once that vritti continues, well, even now my willpower is not required. Any vritti which takes place without our effort, that's called sukshma vritti, where I'm not conscious of that vritti. When I'm deliberate, conscious of the vritti, that is not sukshma vritti. We call it as a sthula vritti. Like in a waking state right now. You are seeing me. You are conscious of that also. So therefore, that is a sthula vritti. But without deliberation, without your effort, etc., still that vritti occurs in the mind. That's called sukshma vritti. So like Om Namah Shivaya mantra, etc., which goes into your head while throughout the day, after doing japa, etc., is a sukshma vritti. Anyway, so sukshma vritti means, as we can say, vritti is a thought, subtle thought. And when the subtle thought takes place in your mind, well, you are not even aware of that. And this particular state of the mind is called absorption. Absorption in that vritti, absorption in that japa, you can say, in a particular thought. And in this absorption, well, basically, this subject-object division, etc., is also not felt. So it is, I will give you another example. This happens even in a deep sleep state also. And in a sleep state, the subject-object division is not felt. But still there is a thought modification taking place in a sleep. We know that. It is not a deliberately entertained thought, but it happens in the sleep. No, Swamiji, you are wrong. How do I know that such a sukshma vritti, well, with a no subject-object division, etc., well, such a thought takes place in a sleep? How can you say that? Yeah, it's simple to say. Because after waking up, well, we say, I slept well, I did not know anything, etc. Means you had that experience of, a void, darkness, whatever. Or you have experience of a happiness. So if you have, otherwise you will not be able to say. Anubhava janya samskara hai. So any kind of impression you have in a deep sleep state is born of experience. That alone becomes a smriti, memory, when you wake up. Samskara alone becomes a memory. And so samskara janya smritihi, anubhava janya samskara, samskara janya smritihi. So anubhava janya, born of. born of anubhava, experience, samskara, impressions. That impressions, when they manifest, when you wake up, it's called memory. So you basically talk about your deep sleep state, that I slept happily, there was a joy, I did not know anything, there was total darkness, there was nothing, etc., etc. Means you had an experience. But during deep sleep state, you are not aware of that particular thought, etc. Could you follow? And therefore, this subject-object division is not felt in a deep sleep state. Still, there is a thought, because no impression is born without anubhava. No anubhava takes place, no experience takes place without a relevant modification of the thought. And therefore, basically, there was a thought, but you have not felt it. Neither you have deliberate upon that, neither you have any will, effort, etc. Still the thought was there. So that's called sukshma vritti. Subtle thought which registers the experiences in the dormant mind, and which alone we activate in waking. So same thing happens with regard to any thought, including this aham brahmasmi vritti also. So after dharana and dhyanam, well, when the deliberate thoughts, thought gets the momentum, after some time, well, the will is not required. And therefore, because of sheer just momentum, the thought continues. And that thought is called sukshma vritti, in which subject-object division is not manifest. Right now, you have a thought, but you are very much aware of a subject-object division. That's not sukshma vritti. Whereas here, subject-object division is not manifest. And it's not manifest at that time. And this state of a sukshma vritti continuation, well, it is called absorption or samadhi. That's how it is. So since the division is not manifest in that state, it is called nirvikalpaka samadhi. Vikalpa means a division. Nirvikalpa, divisionless. Absorption, samadhi. So this is how the thing is. And since, of course, this nirvikalpa samadhi means a state of a divisionlessness. Which division? Subject, object, instrument, all kind of division, which you don't feel at that time. And when we say it is a state of a divisionlessness, well, we do not mean the divisions are not there. Please understand. Divisions are absent. We don't say that. We say divisions are basically in unmanifest form. Any unmanifest thing is almost absent. Like a unmanifest, a bird in an egg, totally unmanifest. If you break the egg, you won't find here the head and the tail and the wings and nothing. Totally unmanifest. As good as not there. It is there. We can't say it is absent because it comes out from that only. And therefore, or any other thing, like the whole tree in a seed is in unmanifest condition. So if you break the seed, you won't find the tree. But the whole thing comes out from that only. You don't find leaves and branches and bark and etc. Stem, nothing, roots, nothing you find. But still it comes out from that. And therefore, so a state of divisionlessness in absorption means divisions are absent, we are not saying, but divisions are unmanifest, in an unmanifest form. And that's how one Vedanta Acharya basically gives an example of a water in which a salt is dissolved. Now in that water, salt is there because I myself have added, suppose, the salt. But since it has become one with the water, visibly the salt is not there. So visibly salt is not there means there is no salt in the water, we can't say. Salt is there. Visibly you don't see its presence, etc. So it is in unmanifest form, we can say. So there is a salt. So in the same way here in absorption, thoughts are there, but the thoughts are like the dissolved salts. So they are there, they are capable of doing their function also, because anubhava will ultimately result into impressions, etc. That function also takes place, but they are not dominantly experienced. Such a state is called nirvikalpaka samadhi. Samadhi means an absorption. And Bhagavan talks about this dharana, dhyana, and samadhi for the process of meditation from verse number 18. That's what he is doing. Okay, with this background, now let us see the meaning of the verse number 18. Of course, my teacher, Swami Muktatmananda, has already taken this verse in the last class. But for the sake of, little bit revision, I'm doing again. Viniyatam chittam. The first word, two words are viniyatam chittam. So viniyatam chittam. Chittam means a mind. Viniyatam. Forget about V. Niyatam. Niyatam means what? Ni plus yam dhatu gives this past participle. Ni plus yam means basically to withdraw. So we know the word niyamaha, etc. also. So mind is basically first withdrawn from the external objects. Anyway, and what do you mean by withdrawing the mind? Well, is that the mind has physically gone somewhere, or you are going to drag? Well, the mind physically? No, that's not the case. When I say I withdraw the mind from the object, basically it only means the thought connected to that object or with that object is no more entertained. That's it. So withdraw the mind from the office. Suppose you withdraw the mind, wife says to husband, now you have come home, then you withdraw your mind from the office. So that means what? It's not that I have left the mind in the office and forgot to take it, etc. And I came to the home, etc. Well, it's not so. Mind is with me only. But when I say, if even the mind is with me, yet it is told to you that you withdraw the mind, means what? Basically, withdrawing the mind from office means, well, your mind was in office, entertaining the thoughts pertaining to the office, etc. Well, that is to be withdrawn. So those thoughts pertaining to the office should not be entertained anymore, suppose. That's called withdrawal of the mind. Anyway, now let us come to this, our Atma Dhyanam. So here also my mind has to withdraw. Viniyatam chittam, right? Bhagavan says, well, we withdraw the mind from what? Because ultimately you are going to do Atma Dhyanam, Nidhyasana. So you have to withdraw mind from Atma? No. Withdraw the mind from Anatma, non-self. So every thought connected with this Anatma, every thought connected with this objective universe, well, you remove from your mind, basically. So thought of home and thought of this and thought of wife and thought of shares and all. Any kind of these thoughts, well, anything connected with the Anatma and should be withdrawn. And this Anatma consists of three things. First is a world, the external world is Anatma. Second is this body. Third is a mind. We divide like this. You can go on saying these senses are also Anatma, etc. But let's say these three things. So you should not entertain any thought connected with the world, connected with this body, connected with the mind while doing Nidhyasana. Right? So basically, don't think about these three things. Don't entertain the thoughts pertaining to these three things: world, body, and mind. Now, if you remove these three anatmakara vrittis, well, it is called chittam viniyatam or viniyatam chittam. It's an adjective actually. A mind which is restrained, withdrawn, pulled back from anatma. That's the first condition. But how does it take place? If it is a physical thing, well, I will withdraw. How do I do this? Mind is very subtle, part of subtle body, very powerful. Arjuna is going to complain later in this chapter itself. Chanchalam hi manah Krishna pramati balavad drudam, etc. So how do you do that? How can I restrain my mind from entertaining the thoughts pertaining to the world, body, and mind? How do I do that? Bhagavan says, Sarva kamebhyaha nispruhas san. So only by developing detachment for these three. Only by developing detachment for these three. So because your thought is always directed towards the object of attachment. So if you are attached to a particular person, suppose, then my mind definitely hovers during around this person. So that's how we have, when we sit for meditation, we think about all the people. So sun attachment, and then if there is a sun attachment in your mind, sun remains. If it is a daughter attachment, daughter remains, etc., etc. So your thought basically is governed by basically your raga dveshas pertaining to this anatma. Therefore, sarva kamebhya nispruha san, having nispruha means detached, having detached from every object. Kama means here, kama, the word kama has two meaning, but kama means a desire for a object, desirable object, and kama also means a desirable object. So desire also is a meaning of a word kama, and desirable object also is a meaning of a kama. So, and therefore here sarva kamebhya, from all these objects of your attachment, well, you detach. So otherwise, sitting for meditation, well, the attachment will be just a sitting. It's not a meditation at all. So everything takes place in that meditation, other than dwelling upon the self, etc. So that is how. And so this particular, how to do that, of course, you are going to ask me, Swamiji, how to do that? How to create a detachment now? I have to withdraw the mind from the anatma, these three, world, body, and mind. That's okay. How to do that? So, well, creating a detachment for all this. But how to create detachment? Because you are already attached. So already I have attachment. How do I become detached? That's not a topic here. But by the way, I will tell you, Bhagavan has also talked several places in Bhagavad Gita. There are three things one should do to remove the attachment for anything. Generally, when you are attached to something, that becomes that must be the source of happiness for you, naturally. And therefore, and looking at as a source of happiness, well, you are looking at the certain virtues of that only, definitely. But it has other side also. It has a certain defects, dosha we call, guna and dosha. And so your mind should be, educated with the doshas also, defects also in that desirable object. Then slowly the mind becomes detached from that given object. And there are three doshas in any object, in this anatma, in the world, body, or even the mind. In general, let's say, take the world. Three doshas are there, common. And what are they? Well, first is a given object which is a source of happiness for you, and that's how it is a desirable object, gives you pleasure along with the pain. No object in the world gives an absolute happiness. No object. No, Swamiji, you are wrong. I am saying I'm not wrong. In as much as all the desirable objects, they are not there at your disposal. You will have to earn, or at least you have to earn money in order to buy those objects. Money has a buying power, but you have to earn money. Pain is involved. So they call it arjane dukkham. Arjanam means earning, acquiring the object, desirable object. There is a pain, dukkham, pain is involved. Then rakshane dukkham. A given object, a desired object, when it comes to you, and you have looked upon that object with a certain features, those features fade away. Even you buy a new car. Of course, in the United States, the car looks very new for a number of years, but in general, I'm saying, even a new car comes to you, after some time, the features by which you were attracted towards that car, now they are no more an attracting features for you. Or else that particular object, because it's a part of the creation, and creation has a one song. Born, gone. Born, gone. Born. That's how they say. Jagat, ja, janma, born. Ga, gachati, gone. Gachati. Jayate, gachati iti jagat. Everything is in the jaws of the death, time, time. And therefore, and you want to retain in a particular form, and the object is not ready to remain in the same form as object of as a source of happiness for you. And therefore, rakshane dukkham. You want to keep the object in a particular, with a particular features, etc. Like a body. You want to have the body to be young all the time. Someday someone will call you as uncle and then you will feel, or auntie, whatever. That's it. And therefore, rakshane dukkham, even is a object which is a source of your happiness. Arjane dukkham, to acquire also there is a pain. To protect it in a given shape, form, with a certain features, so that it remains an object of happiness for you for a long time, requires a tremendous pain. You like your house in a certain, with a certain features, and you know very well it doesn't remain in that way. Entropy is always there, right? And therefore, this is how it is. And suppose third thing, viyoge, it is going to go. Either it goes away from you or you go away from the object. That's going to happen. That even Bhagavan can't change, and Bhagavan does not want to change. Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityuhu dhruvam janma mritasya cha. Dhruvam, Bhagavan says, that is definite. Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityuhu. Jatasya, one which is born, will have to go. Dhruvam janma mritasya cha, etc. And therefore, a given source of happiness, security, whatever, well, will go away. Leaves you in pain. Arjane dukkham, rakshane dukkham, viyoge dukkham. This is the first dosha. These three doshas. Out of that, this is the first dosha I'm talking about, where you are attached. Keep this thing in mind. That, well, it may be a person, may not be, suppose our own children. Well, let's not talk about some death, etc. But then they go away from our home. They go to some other city and study and this and that, marry, and they leave. So this is the world. Anatma has these features. Generally, I am attached to Anatma, is the world or a body or a mind or whatever, because I look upon it as a source of happiness, peace, or security, whatever. But it has this dosha. This is the first. Second dosha is, well, so this is the first is a pain. The second dosha, the defect is dissatisfaction. Even when it gives you a certain joy, it does not give you a joy which is lasting. No object, within few seconds, you feel that you don't want it. You are eating some dish, apple pie, let's say. I'm saying something. Don't think of, don't try to write some bhashyam on that. So basically, some particular dish you are eating. And well, if it is a source of happiness, more you eat, more the happiness. But it's the other way around. It's inversely proportional. It's inversely proportional. First morsel gives you a lot of joy. Second morsel also maybe a little less, but you may not be able to recognize it. Third, fourth, fifth. And if suppose somebody gives you with a lot of, love and all that, and you eat, and you have eaten so much now, I tell you, you won't like to see that thing for number of days. Some people even give it up forever because it creates some other problems also. If you eat too much, that happens. So when we think like this, definitely our attachment to that particular object, well, definitely reduces. This is a second defect. Third defect, dependence. Any object which is a source of a security, happiness, or a peace, you will be dependent on it. Dependent means crutches. No one likes crutches. I tell you, no one likes crutches. Even the person who is in the bed right now due to fracture, etc., and he is walking with the crutches, he is asking every day to the doctor, when will I give up these crutches? He wants to walk independently. You love independence. That is what you are born with. No human being is born till today who loves dependence. In fact, you are depending upon something in order to discover independence. You love independence because that's your nature. Atma is independence. But anyway, let's not go into that. So this is a third defect, dependence. So pain, dissatisfaction, and dependence. And Swamiji, but then I'm really dwelling upon it, Swamiji. But right now I feel, yes, I should not be attached to anything. But I don't know. This class won't be there for 24/7. And tomorrow when I see that object, I feel that I should have it. Why it is like that? That's how Shastra says, dosha drishtya muhur muhu. See these defects again and again when you are in contact with that object. Yeah. Then only the attachment will. But why? Why it should be in a single in an incident? It should go. It won't, because the rope of attachment is very old and very strong. It takes time to snap it. If the rope is strong, and because previous janma, there was attachment. Previous janma, there was an attachment to it. Previous janma, there was an attachment. How many janmas? Why I'm saying all this is people get frustrated. So attachment, they think, and in this class, they also dwell upon with me and on this defects, etc. And afterwards they find attached to again to the given thing, etc. And they feel frustrated. They reject themselves. We can't grow spiritually, they say. It's not so. It's not so. You have to, that's how Shastra says, muhur muhu, again and again. See that. Okay. So, sarva kamebhya nisprahasan, well, ultimately being detached to this, all this objects of desire, etc. And then only, well, nisprahasan chittam viniyatam bhavati. Then chittam becomes definitely restrained, withdrawn, pulled back. Well, it happens. And when the mind is rid of this, anatma karavritti, well, then mind becomes, get rid of, this anatma karavritti, then the mind becomes free. So because mind has all the time holding something, like in my hand, there is suppose a big book is there, and you come with another book, and well, you want to give me that another big book. What should I do? If it is a small, I can hold it. Suppose a very big book, which may require, suppose, both the hands, suppose, and you want to give another big book. I say that, well, let me keep this earlier book and let me keep it away, and then I can take care of it. Same thing. If mind has a hold of these objects, anatma, then it is not free. You have to make it free. And then only it can definitely dwell upon the self. So, well, so the atmani eva avatishthate. So once the mind is withdrawn from this world, the anatma, what should you do? Atmani eva avatishthate. They are talking about the process of meditation. Atmani eva avatishthate. So the mind abides in the atma. Mind dwells in the atma. What do you mean by mind dwelling upon atma? What is this? So don't take in this physical sense, right? Because an object dwells, a given object, suppose this is a table here. An object abides on this table, dwells on this table, located on the table is one thing. And that cannot happen with the mind. Mind abiding in Atma. Avatishthate means it abides in Atma. It is located in Atma. What does it mean? Because is it so that, can we say that the mind is located somewhere else and now an Atma is located here, and you pull the mind and fix it with in the Atma with the some Fevicol or something. No, no, no. Is it a physical job of fixing the mind upon the Atma, etc.? Well, that's not the case. It's not possible. Why it is not possible? Because Atma is already all pervading, and therefore all pervading consciousness, and therefore mind is never away from that Atma. There is no question of a mind basically coming to Atma, etc. Because the entire creation is resting in Atma alone, and therefore mind also is resting in Atma alone. Then why Bhagavan is telling let the mind you should abide your mind in Atma? So well, we should understand that if a mind cannot go out of Atma, whatever we talk about a mind dwelling on something, well, it means you have a thought corresponding to that object. Abiding in Atma means you should have a thought centered on I. That's all. Earlier you were thinking about this, Anatma. Now you are thinking, your mind dwells upon Atma means your mind entertains the thought centered on I. So that's the only that's the only meaning we can give here. So that is how here now you can see the difference between a Vedantic meditation and this yogic meditation. Big difference. Bhagavan says, well, ultimately your mind should abide in Atma means your mind should dwell upon the self. Your mind should entertain the thoughts pertaining to the self. Means Vedantic meditation is never a thoughtless state. Never thoughtless state. Yogic meditation is a thoughtless state. Yoga philosophy talks about, well, this culmination of a meditation as a samadhi, nirvikalpa samadhi, means which is a thoughtless state. Where in Vedanta, we do not accept or approve that. It's not that the thoughtlessness is not possible. It is possible, but it's of no use. You have already experienced a thoughtless state every day. What's the use? Deep sleep state is definitely like that. No, Swamiji, you said it is a sukshma vritti, etc. But ultimately, it's almost an unmanifest condition as though thoughts are absent for a number of hours. It's of no use. It's not that we have not experienced this thoughtless state, etc. And you may experience even in a waking state also, when you are absorbed in a given thing, etc. But basically, it's of no use. Except mind gets relaxation. Thoughtless state means mind gets relaxation because mind's job is to think, to analyze. And when it doesn't do, means it is resting. So it gets a certain relaxation. And suppose our mind gets relaxation or not, but others get relaxation. If you sit in a meditation and having a thoughtless state, still if you are not relaxed, but others are having a relaxation. Anyway, so thoughtlessness, etc. Well, we don't give much importance. So we give importance to the thought, in fact. And what type of thought? Thought centered on Atma. Now, Swami, that is all fine. We accept it. But what are these thoughts centered on Atma? Give some examples. Give some specimen. I'm giving you now. See, first thing is you think like this. You are sitting in a meditation and you are thinking like this. Mind abides in Atma means mind entertains the thought centered on the self is like this now. I'm telling you. I am a consciousness principle by which everything is known. The body is known. The mind is known. The senses are known. The world is known. Everything is known. Even the thought is known. Even the thoughtless state also is known. I can't talk about a thoughtless state unless you have a meaning in your mind. And therefore, even thoughtless state, etc., well, is known by this consciousness alone. And consciousness, basically, the consciousness, is the witness of a thoughtful mind, is the witness of a thoughtless mind. Well, but Swamiji, that itself is a thought. That I am a witness of all the thoughts, or I am a witness of a thoughtlessness state of the mind. Well, that itself is a thought. Yeah, that is a thought. That's correct. That this is a thought. But this kind of a thought you should entertain, etc. And so, like that, there are several thoughts possible. This is one way. But Swami, how do I arrive at that I am consciousness? Well, it is very simple. Why? It is not simple. It may be simple for you. It may not. It is not simple for us. Start with this. I'm giving you a few lines. Start that I am a knower. Everything is known. The whole world is divided into aham and idam. I and this. Start with this. So other than I means this, right? So other than this I, everything is this, including this. This also. Even though it remains 24/7 on this body, I never say I am this shirt. This shirt, I say, this. I don't have an I sense in this shirt, right? But from this dermis and inside, whatever, I have an I sense. I am a knower, everything is known. This is how inquiry begins. This is not Vedanta, this is simple inquiry. Vedanta comes, I will tell you where the Vedanta enters. So I am a knower, everything is known. And what is known, let us put into one box called a this. Now Vedanta comes and says, okay, you are the knower, everything is known, which you put in a category as this. I the knower, and this means known. Correct. Now, if I ask you how many knowers are there? How many knowers are there? Oh, sorry, several knowers. I know you, you know me, and then someone else is sitting beside, that also knows. Then the someone else, that also is a knower. So there are many knowers. Let's analyze. First, let us to give an answer to this question, how many knowers, etc. are there? Let us start the question. Who are you? Or who am I? Either way, same thing. Then you thought over and you said, Swamiji, look. See, other than the body, even a given person, like a child, your own child, even though you are so much attached to your child, you don't have an I sense in that. There is an extension of I sense, but then you don't call it the child as I. Otherwise, the child's age is suppose 4 years. You should say, I am 4-year-old, but you don't say that. You say, my child has a 4-year-old. So definitely it is other than I. That much you know. That much you know. Even though you will have a strong attachment. And he is studying in suppose in LKG or some second standard, third standard, etc. You don't say I study in a second standard. You say my child studies. So you have you know that is not I. But you say, look, Swami, when the physical body, no. If I say who are you? You say, I'm a father. I forgot that step. Let me edit that. I'm a father. I'm a mother. I am this, etc. So, well, I said these are all relative roles. You are not a father all the time. You are a father to your son. You are a mother to your son. With respect to your father, you are son. And therefore, son, father, etc. are not really your introduction. I'm saying, based on you, who are you? Not related to anybody. Who are you? He says it is simple. I am physical body. Why? Why you are physical body? Because when physical body sleeps, I say I sleep. When physical body walks, I say I walk. When physical body runs, I say I run. When physical body sits, I say I sit. And therefore I am physical body. This is my answer to your question. Who are you? I say it is hasty. Being Vedanti, I say this is a hasty conclusion about yourself. Why? Don't you know your physical body? When you say, suppose your physical body is tall. You say, I'm tall. I say, don't you know your physical body that is tall? You say, yes, I know my physical body is tall. Suppose if you know your physical body is tall, why do you say you are tall? Suppose a tree is there in front of you, which is tall. You say that tree is tall. You don't say I am tall. And the physical body also is an object of knowledge, which is tall. You say you are tall. Just as the tall tree is an object of knowledge for you, same way tall body also is an object of knowledge for you. Is it not so? When you say I am tall, is it not that the physical body is tall? You say, yeah, that's correct. Means if you say the physical body is tall, means it is an object of your knowledge. Otherwise, you can't say I am tall. You know your tall body? Yeah, I know my tall body. I said, you know your tall body is object of knowledge or it is subject? It's object of knowledge. Your body is black, you know it. Your body is fair, you know it. Your body has a certain weight, you know it. Your body is healthy, you know it. In fact, you know your body much more than you know any other object in the world. You can talk about your physical body. Nobody can talk about, not even doctors. Doctors also, even before they will have to ask you, what's your problem? Why you have come? So you have to first tell. Then they may give their own, judgments, etc., regarding disease or whatever. That's how a person can take a leave from the boss. Oh, I have back pain. He's not going to examine. So I have back pain. You want to go, take a leave, etc. Well, my point is, physical body is an intimate object of your knowledge. And then you are knower of that. It's an object. You are the subject, the knower. And therefore, you don't say I'm a physical body. That's a hasty thing. Well, looking at the tall body, you don't say I am tall. Looking at the physical body, which is tall, you say I am tall. He says, I don't know why I say like that. I say that's a better answer. There is a self-ignorance. There is a self-ignorance due to which you say, and for ignorance, no one should blame oneself, because you are born with, which is beginningless. But this is a wrong conclusion, that I am a physical body. Then, second, what? Second thing is, Swamiji, I'm sense organ. Because I know my physical body through senses. I can see my body. I can feel, touch my body. I can smell the body. I can taste the body, even though, definitely. So physical body becomes an object of knowledge through the sense organs, and therefore I am sense organs. Are you sense organs? Don't you know your sense organs? In fact, more than any specialist about, of eyes, you know about your eyes more. So he asks you, you know your eyes are powerful or they are not so powerful now, whether you are seeing two things, where there is one. All these things you are able to narrate. You are able to narrate about your ears. You are able to narrate about your tongue. In COVID, it happens that some people were saying that, Swamiji, we do not have a proper taste. We do not have a proper smell. Some people were complaining like that. Because you know about your senses, the status of the senses, and change in the status of the senses, change in the power of the senses. So you can't say anything which is an object of knowledge. You can't say you are the subject. And knowledge always occurs when there is a separation of knower and known. Knower is a knower. Known is a known. An object of knowledge, well, definitely is other than you. So you're not senses. But you know, Swamiji, I am not senses, I am not physical body, that conclusion. They are object of knowledge. All these conclusions take place take place in the mind. Therefore, I am the mind. Now, don't you know your condition of the mind? That's what you describe to a psychiatrist. In fact, you can write about your mind 500 pages. No one can write about your mind other than yourself. So vivid. You tell to someone also, go away from this room. Otherwise, you know when anger is going to come, when anger is going to subside, everything. What's the intensity of the anger right now? Everything. So basically, when you say you are angry, basically you know that your mind is angry. You know very well. An unknown angry mind will not make you conclude that I am angry. Unknown angry mind will not make you conclude I am angry. A known angry mind will lead you, due to ignorance, will lead you towards a conclusion that I am angry. And therefore, ultimately, I am not a mind. I am not senses. I am not physical body. See, from this box of I, many things are going now into this. This is all Vedanta. I am not physical body. From there, the real inquiry, Vedantic inquiry begins. Before that, it is simple. You are object of knowledge and I am subject. That's so simple. Knower, known, division, simple. But the physical body itself should not be included in the knower. The senses should not be included in the knower, because they are very well, they are the objects of knowledge. I have a knowledge of them. And then, well, memory, etc. Also, before memory arises, you were there. Memory is lost. You are there to say that my memory has gone now. I'm old. Therefore, you are not memory. You are not knowledge. Before the knowledge, you acquired through in universities, etc. Well, I'm engineer. So you have some engineering knowledge. That's correct. But you were there even before acquiring a knowledge of engineering, knowledge of chemistry, knowledge of physics. You were right there. So you definitely acquired. So, well, you are not basically a knowledge also. You are not ignorance also. No, Swamiji, I am ignorant, because you said you are born with ignorance. And therefore, I'm ignorance. At least this much knowledge you have that you are ignorant, okay? And therefore, you are not ignorant, okay? That much knowledge you have that I'm ignorant. If you are ignorant, means you can't even say that I'm ignorant. Because basically you know that you are ignorant. That for not that much knowledge also you have it. You know what you know. You know what you don't know. Basically, you are distinct from this ignorance and knowledge. You are distinct from memory. You are distinct from senses, distinct from the mind, distinct from the physical body. You are conscious of all of them. You are simply a conscious being. I have to stop. What can I do? This is one more step from a simple, basic conscious being to consciousness. Is one step. But that step I can't take because the time is over. Next session. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. So we'll meet at 11:40. Yes, 11:10, or it's already 11:10. So half an hour break, and then we'll have a sadhana.